Hi guys, happy Saturday. Okay, January 24th. Good evening. So, we just got this unnamed affidavit out. So, I want to bring your attention to a few things. Is that this affidavit is basically um, if you're lying, there's a it's perjury. So that's a problem for the person that's actually signing this affidavit. So affidavit or declarations is the same thing. What I want to bring your attention to is not that only, is that ICE has not filed any declarations or affidavits. And they've also said that they're going to do investigations on their own, which we know that they're going to be lying about it, and there's a cover up. And so the cover up is not only not they're going to do a proper investigation, they're also not going to have the ICE agents in Renee Nicole Good's situation file an affidavit, a sworn testimony of what happened. And so we're never going to see that under this fucking administration. And the same thing is true today with the shooting of Alex Pretty. And that's really it. And so that is very important because we already got a heads up, which contradicts which we already knew. It was no surprise what Noam and the other idiots from ICE has said. And although their statements on TV are not sworn declarations, the judge will make them file an affidavit. If they do believe exactly what they say on TV, then they should be able to file an affidavit pretty quickly. And so here's the affidavit from the sworn civilian, unnamed civilian, today, what she saw.
I am a resident of the Whittier neighborhood of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I am over 18 years of age. I am a children's entertainer who specializes in face painting. On Saturday, January 24th, 2026, at about 8:50 a.m., I was getting ready to go to work when I heard whistles outside. I knew the whistles meant that IC agents were in the area, so I decided to check it out on my way to work. I've been involved in observing in my community because it is so important to document what IC is doing to my neighbors. Connecting to your local community and knowing who your neighbors are is something I profoundly value. I drove to Nicollet Avenue and 26th where I could hear the whistles coming from. I turned south onto Nicollet. There were already several IC agents there, and they'd set up a sort of vehicle convoy on Nicollet and 28th. There were also about 15 observers there, recording and observing IC. I saw IC agents surrounding cars and punching car windows. I also saw them stopping vehicles further down Nicollet, so I backed up because I didn't feel safe continuing on. I noticed a man sort of acting to help traffic move more smoothly. He helped me find a place to park. I got out with my whistle and my camera. I went over to him and said something like, "I'm going to film and use my whistle." It seemed like most IC activity was happening a little farther down the street from us, near 27th. Someone was being thrown to the ground. I started recording. There was an agent by a car across the street. Two observers were a few feet away from the agent, blowing their whistles. One was wearing a backpack. I and the man who was observing and helping direct traffic were standing in the street. There was a phone in the man's hand recording a video. An agent approached and asked us to back up, so I moved slowly back onto the sidewalk. The man stayed in the street, filming as the other observers I mentioned earlier were being forced backward by another IC agent threatening them with pepper spray. The man went closer to support them as they got threatened, just with his camera out. I didn't see him reach for or hold a gun. Then the IC agent shoved one of the other observers to the ground. Then he started pepper spraying all three of them directly in the face and all over. The man with the phone put his hands above his head, and the agent sprayed him again and pushed him. Then the man tried to help up the woman the IC agent had shoved to the ground. The IC agents just kept spraying. More agents came over and grabbed the man. The agents pulled the man on the ground. I didn't see him touch any of them. He wasn't even turned toward them. It didn't look like he was trying to resist, just trying to help the woman up. I didn't see him with a gun. They threw him to the ground. 4 or 5 agents had him on the ground, and they just started shooting him. They shot him so many times. I don't know why they shot him. He was only helping. I was 5 feet from him, and they just shot him. The video I recorded of what happened accurately depicts the events leading up to the agents shooting him and several minutes afterward. The video is attached as Exhibit 1. I have read the statement from DHS about what happened, and it is wrong. The man did not approach the agents with a gun. He approached them with a camera. He was just trying to help a woman get up, and they took him to the ground. I feel afraid. Only hours have passed since they shot a man right in front of me, and I don't feel like I can go home because I heard agents were looking for me. I don't know what the agents will do when they find me. I do know that they're not telling the truth about what happened. I declare under penalty of perjury that everything I have stated in this document is true and correct. Dated and signed on January 24th, 2026 in Hennepin County, state of Minnesota. ICE/DHS official narrative versus independent evidence scorecard. Case. Official IC/DHS narrative. Independent eyewitness and video evidence. Official investigation conducted. Renee Nicole Good, January 7th, 2026. ICE claimed Good drove her SUV toward the agent, injuring him, justifying deadly force. NOEM and DHS labeled her a threat. Private autopsy and video show she was unarmed, shot 3 times, including head wound, as she attempted to leave. Local officials reject federal narrative. No criminal investigation by DOJ into agents' actions. Local/state authorities blocked/excluded. Alex Preddy, January 24th, 2026. DHS asserts Preddy approached Border Patrol with a handgun and defensive shots were fired after resisting. Eyewitness affidavit and videos show Preddy holding a phone/camera, attempting to help others, then being tackled and shot, contradicting the gun threat narrative. Local/state investigation access has been blocked by federal authorities. No transparent review announced. Magnifying glass tilted left what this pattern shows. 1. Conflicting narratives from official sources. In both shootings, DHS/ICE immediately released statements claiming dangerous threat or weaponization by the victim. In both cases, independent video evidence and eyewitness accounts challenge these official portrayals. 2. Lack of independent federal investigation. In the Renee Good case, the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division refused to investigate the shooting by an IC agent, a departure from standard practice in officer-involved deaths. In the Preddy case, local/state investigative access has been restricted, with federal authorities controlling the narrative and scene. 3. Civilian eyewitness verification. In Preddy's case, a sworn affidavit by a nearby civilian documents events contradicting DHS statements directly, making this more than mere opinion. No comparable sworn testimony from IC agents has been offered in either case. 4. Pattern of public misinformation/denial. This pattern suggests that federal authorities provide one version of events that justifies lethal force. Independent evidence shows a more complex, often contradictory picture. Federal refusal to investigate creates a justice and accountability vacuum. Conclusion. Pattern observed. In both the Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy shootings, incidents involving ICE/BP agents in Minneapolis, official federal narratives characterize the victims as armed or threatening. However, independent eyewitness affidavits, private autopsies, and bystander videos contradict those claims. In both cases, no full, transparent investigation by independent authorities occurred. Federal prosecutors declined or limited inquiry into federal officer conduct. No affidavits from IC agents supporting the official version have been released. Legal observers and families have had to rely on private evidence and civilian testimony instead. This establishes a pattern of inconsistent federal reporting, lack of accountability, and suppression of independent oversight in federal law enforcement shootings in Minnesota during this operation.
Okay, guys, so basically, we have an affidavit, we have evidence, not only from the affidavit, but from the videos, okay, and we have eyes that can see exactly what happened in Renee Nicole's Good situation, and today's with Alex Preddy, and that's really all we need. That's all we need at this point. When we have a court come in this situation, they will eventually have to file an affidavit. They think that they won't have to, but they will. Okay, that's it.